I flew to New York and I immediately saw something that would crush about 90% of my garage door business. And it's not the price of labor, it's not the competition. It's these small garage doors in these communities in upstate New York and even in New York City. And it got me thinking, like, what would it take for me or for anyone to start a garage door home service business in a place like this? Because let's be honest, New York is tough. So there was one thing that got me thinking about with regards to having a garage door business in New York is that you're obviously going to have to deal with the weather. But since we've been in New York this past week, the weather has been really nice. I mean, it's cooperated in so many ways. And I do feel that you can survive with your home service business doing garage door works easily. But the reality is that you want to be able to prepare for that weather, knowing and realizing that you might have to fight against the snow, the rain, the cold, the wind. And we just don't have that type of weather in Southern California. And so if you are considering of like maybe expanding your business or doing your business in other areas, that's something that maybe most garage door guys don't necessarily think about. And that's why I can tell you that in the experience that I've had being around here, I can see where a lot of the planning would require that. You would have to plan your day to be able to pick up your material, make sure that that's all good, and that wherever the job is at, well, you're giving yourself enough time to get there to be able to service the garage door or replace the garage door system. Now, that's not to say that these homes were not beautiful. That's not to say that these homes didn't have any character to them. Quite the contrary, these homes are just, there's like this old world feeling when you're in this area, especially like when you're in upstate New York. We have these like beautiful colonial homes that have been around since the Civil War, in areas where, like, for example, George Washington had his headquarters in Newburgh, New York. That's where we stayed. And it's just amazing to see that all of that old world feeling is still rich within the areas where these homes are at. And then you can pretty much tell that, you've got this small little garage door that's like for most families is like the entry into their home, especially against the weather, right? But thinking about like how those small little doors, and of course there was 2-car garage doors as well, but that wasn't the predominant size that I saw here in this area. It was mainly smaller doors. And when I'm thinking about like these new homes being retrofit with the smaller garage doors, well, yeah, I could see how maybe some families are thinking like, yeah, the garage door is not the most important part to my home. It's actually going to be, my front door. It's going to be my basement and things like that. So there's not a lot of thought put into the garage doors. We did see a couple of garage doors that had a really nice style, really nice design, and some colors as well. But a lot of them were plain Jane, which again, just basically tells me, listen, the garage door is going to get beat up. I don't want to spend more than I have to for this part of my home. And I think that variable was worse in the city, because when you get to the city, it's like, you're in the city. It's a hustle, a bustle. In fact, some garages were facing main streets, which gets you to thinking like, man, what's the security like on those specific homes or those specific garages? No doubt, those garages did not seem that they were even in use, which begs the question, like, yeah, well, what do you have in there? If that's not a functioning garage, more than likely it's storage. More than likely they just have it shut off. They don't really want to use the garage because they don't want to expose that entry into their home, into their property. So it just got me thinking, if you have a customer, if you have a community like that, and you have a garage door business and you're trying to figure out, well, where am I going to get my next customer? And you have these homes, these garages that are not even using their garage as a place to store their vehicles, a place to utilize to get in and out of their home. There's a lot of challenges, when you think about that. And granted, and you get the whole story about within that community, but just seeing this polarizing environment of upstate New York, a little bit more rural country versus the city. And yeah, you've got just so many things to contend with. And it just blew my mind. Just me putting myself in the shoes of a garage door contractor in this area. Well, yeah, that would be a lot to go up against. So it's possible that some of the garage door guys in these areas or in the New York City area, they're working on roll-up doors, sheet doors, gates, commercial doors, industrial doors. So clearly you're going to have to expand your repertoire. You're going to have to build your business so that way you're going to work on a number of doors. I think if it's for me, I would definitely consider those services as an option to be able to work on even regular man doors. I think there's a good segue, a good business connection between those two types of businesses. And because they're within the same entry access, you're perhaps even like, looking at like access control units and things of that nature. I could see that being something really big within the city versus in the rural part of New York. You're probably just sticking more to residential homes. And I'd love to be able to hear from all of those who watch this channel. Well, what's your business like in New York City, or even here in the Tri-borough city area, basically Jersey, New York, upstate? I mean, what do you guys do to survive out over here? Because it got me thinking in my time out over here, what I need to do to be able to make my garage door business thrive. Because little doors, again, are not, they're not that expensive to repair. And I think like if you have a certain price ticket, right, for a garage door, maybe garage door, spring garage door operator. Well, what's the maximum that you can make off of a door like that? Clearly, you're not considering overcharging them, because that's not going to be the best thing for your customer. You're not going to get a lot of business. So it's almost like you have to go through the volume just to be able to grow a home service business. So it's a lot of marketing. It's a lot of reaching out. Again, you're just going to have to supplement your business. You're going to have to find out, okay, so am I going to have to start doing gates now? I can see a lot of gates, in fact, in the area. It's pretty much like open fields. No white picket fences, hardly. And it was just so nice to see, because there's a feeling of security and freedom, even though you have everything exposed. So it got me thinking about what would it take for me to be able to make a living out here in the profession that I have chosen. So I'd love to hear your thoughts with regards to this. This is a real quick video with regards to the experiences that we've counted here in New York City versus the life that we have in Southern California. Do I prefer Southern California over this life? That's a funny question, because I think in a lot of ways, upstate New York, it's great. I'd love to live that life. I just don't know how much I would survive. Maybe that's a retirement plan. Doubt it. But Southern California, for my business, I just thrive in that area. And possibly just because of everything that I've gained and I've earned and learned within my communities. And I think that's the trick. I think that's the key. Learning about those within your community to build that trust, that relationship, so that you're able to grow your home service business. I'd love to be able to hear your thoughts about that. In fact, I have a video that talks about how to be able to get your first 10 customers right here, and how community is such an important part of that. So I'd love for you to check out that video. As always, y'all stay safe.